I'm gonna spray things like the harness and stuff. I've more than once spent more time screwing around with these 3 connectors than the motor mounts and other crap on these things. So I'm gonna spray everything. I don't know when I'm working and when I'm not working, so like I don't really want to get into really deep into it and have it sit for days with bolts laying everywhere and nothing. And I'm still waiting on the clutch because for some reason it got all screwed up and I don't know if they sent it back or what. So right now I just want it up in this position. I'm gonna pull stuff like the rad, the things that are super easy to put back and all that, but I'd rather not rip this motor and trans right out right now until I'm ready to pretty much put it in, because I only have this much space to do it. So once that motor's hanging, I'm probably going to lower the car back down and put the knuckles back together to roll it backwards, swap the motor, set up transmission, swap over accessories, all that crap, and then pull the car back forward, put it back in the air, and have to put the motor back in. This is actually unbelievably clean for what is basically a 30-something-year-old Honda Civic now that's literally been driven its whole life in the winter too, which a lot of people don't seem to believe. And it's actually, I haven't gotten fully underneath it, but it's pretty damn clean underneath. However, I think that subframe right there was sitting under the dirt. I have to see if that's soft or if it's just surface rust. And I did notice the driver's side floor. I pulled back the carpet on it, and I know it's from the crack in this windshield because when it rained, you could see the puddle like actually forming through the crack and going through the other side. Which is a real shame that it sat that long because the floor is now soft underneath here. The passenger side is mint, and I know it's all from the inside, you can tell, and you know that it's from that damn windshield leaking. So that's a huge shame, but floor work is kind of to be expected in these old Hondas one way or another. I was really hoping it would be clean because how often does the floor rot from the inside? But yeah, that's my rant before pulling all this out. Just need decent day and to know, I just need a decent schedule. I need time that I know that I can actually kind of dig into this without abandoning it for half a week or something like that, which I'd rather not do. I'd rather motor out, swap over, motor back in, like all the same day. But at the same time though, it's not going to be like weeks from now. It's going to be probably sometime this week or weekend, because I really want to get this video out. A lot of people seem to actually really be into this, so that's awesome and super motivating for me. Well, a $10 roll pin kit just to get the bitch pin out. Came out like nothing. It's actually the easiest one I've ever pulled, I think, out of all the years of working on these Hondas. And then the axle's out. Again, axle popped out like nothing. The small impact broke the axle free and it fell right out. Again, my camera's screwed up, but I got these off. They weren't that bad on this. And I got the starter off, and I got the sway bar or strut bar, whatever the hell it is, off. So I lost all that footage apparently, but I'm still just moving on. So next I'm gonna do the heater core hoses and the fuel line. And then I'll move to the other side and undo those other connectors. Then I might take the distributor off before pulling the motor because I want to, that's the only distributor that I have that I'm 100% that works right now. So I kind of want to protect it. And yeah, I don't know if I'll pull the motor tonight, but I might Might put the knuckles back together so it can roll tonight, and then just get this almost ready to pull. I need to find the engine leveler. It was with the engine lift at one point, but I know I put it somewhere. I just need to find it. So, but yeah, no, this whole side's completely ready to go aside from the motor mount. And then I just need to get on that motor mount bolt, which I usually get from the other side. So yeah, they're all disconnected. Nothing broke. I'm very surprised nothing broke. Even this bracket's in actually remarkably good shape. So yeah, just moving on. Oh, one thing, the little dust shield for the starter wire broke, but I got plenty of those laying around somewhere, I think. So. Like hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, me taking my time. That's everything out actually, except for motor mount here, motor mount there. I just need to go find that engine leveler, and I'll probably do it in the morning if I have tomorrow off. And if I don't, I'll get back to it when I get back to it next. But honestly, that's pretty much out. So I gotta throw the spindles back together. I'll probably drop it down if that's the case, so that way it's low as possible as long as the engine lift goes underneath it. And then just yank the motor up in the air, push the car back, drop it right here, split the transmission. That was substantially easy. It's probably one of the easiest ones I've pulled in a while. having a base model really helps. Not needing to pull power steering or AC or anything off it, or any lines in the way, nothing. Just undo motor mounts, pull it out. So now I got to get it set down somehow, separate the trans, and then put the clutch and everything in the other one and slide the trans back together. I haven't planned how I'm going to do that yet, but I'm probably just going to drop it and slide it as far forward as I can. But I got to get the one out of the truck too, so I'm not sure yet. I might slide over the side, back the truck in here, and then use the engine lift to pull that one out of the truck. Make it up as I go. I lost a lot of tranny fluid, but that's okay. I can top up the tranny afterwards. But yeah, it's out. I really should be changing that rear motor mount. If it was up to me, I'd pull this whole subframe front suspension out and go get it powder coated. But all in all, this car is actually really clean for, again, how many freaking miles are on it. And the fact that it's like 30 years old or whatever. The worst thing I found, unfortunately, was right in here. The seam's starting to split away where the seam sealer was. And back here is a little ugly. But I'm hoping that just blasting that with a bunch of oil will let it survive for a while. I do want to change that mount, but I don't got the money for putting motor mounts in this thing. And then this side mount, one of the bolts is already sheared off in it, I think. Oh, maybe not. One of these mounts. Either way, this one's all broken to hell, so it would be nice to get some front torque mounts in it, but again, I could change those after if I really wanted to. But yeah, this car is pretty damn clean. It's going to sit here without a motor for a little bit because I've been distracted by everything. This is supposed to be like a one-day engine pull and then one day put it all back together and in, but as you can probably tell, it's been multiple days because I've only spent a couple hours on it at a time. But it's out. That's a big thing. Now we're just gonna figure out how to put it somewhere and get two motors side by side and switch everything over. Out. I forgot that the pressure plate was a 12 point, and I don't have any 12 points with me. At work I do, but I'm not at work, so I can't get any of that stuff. But I went online and just really quickly found one-day shipping on Amazon for some sockets. And then I was looking at what size sockets came in the kit, but I forgot to look at what drive they come in. So I ended up with 3/8. But we have the technology, and it's called a jack handle to make the 3/8 work. So I'm going to use the 3/8 sockets if they don't break, and then get all this off. I am going to just bolt that intake onto this one, because I also noticed, I think somebody robbed the injectors off this one or something, because the injectors don't plug in. So instead of just switching all that stuff, I know all this is a good setup. It's all new hoses on it, everything. I'll just bolt that whole assembly on there. Plus I do have that intake gasket. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to try to swap it, the whole entire rear intake. It'll be a lot easier with it on the car, off the car as well. So, and then I'll pull the transmission. I'm basically just going to strip this whole entire assembly and get it ready pretty much for scrap. I'll keep a lot of the stuff off of it. I'm going to use the alternator off this one too, because that alternator my dad said is pretty much new. And that one doesn't look bad, but again, that's completely unknown, and I know that this ran. So we're going to rob as much as we can off of this thing, and whatever we don't use, put in a box and keep it for spare. Show how many times or how many clutches I've done over the years and forgot about Civics. I've been doing so many I do 6 points that I assume this one was a 6 point, but I'll have to go borrow a socket for that one because these sockets don't go that high. Oh well, it is what it is. I can still strip this one, get the transmission ready and everything. And tomorrow I'll do the pressure plate and flywheel and clutch and put the transmission on. I'll do the intake and everything else today and get it all ready. I have both of them stripped down. I didn't record pulling this intake manifold because it was the same thing as that. Only difference was it pulled out every stud with the nut, so I had to get the nut off and re-stud the whole back of the intake. But this intake's actually, or like the motor itself, looks a lot cleaner than this motor did, which makes sense with 500,000 on it. But surprisingly, this doesn't look like that dirty of a motor compared to a lot of the cars. You can tell which one is just running down with gas and not firing. But at the same time though, this isn't even really sooted up compared to a lot of cars on the road, like even today. But that one's definitely a little bit lower miles, one way or another. But and then the other thing is the idle air control valve piece was rusted completely and snapped off inside this pipe. At least I think, I don't know if it's idle control air valve. I think it's got a coolant run to it or whatever the hell it is in the back of the intake. I'm pretty sure this is idle air control valve, but because it's got the filter in it and stuff, but there is a coolant run into it. I don't know if it's just a coolant or what, but one of them snapped off on that one. So this is off of the intake manifold that I'm not using. I gotta put it on this one. This one seems, that felt like plastic, but this one seems like it's steel. Either that or that one is just so damn rusty that that snapped right off in there. But either way, that looks like the exact same as the one that I need, so I'm going to replace that when all this is done. But yeah, now it's just a matter of putting it all back in, and I got to go find that gasket and clean that up as best I can. I don't have a whole lot of sandpaper, but I'll clean it up for what it's worth. If anyone's curious, the clutch that has supposedly 500,000 on it, because we never changed it, it actually still has some meat on it. And then the pressure plate doesn't look that bad, but it is heat soaked a bit. The pressure plate, or the flywheel, as you can see, has a bunch of heat marks in it. And then the one that came out of this car that's been sitting forever is pretty damn rusty. But it does have a good amount of meat still on there. But for all the time of, like where I am right now changing the transmissions, I might as well change the flywheel and clutch. And I don't think I wouldn't reuse that flywheel. And even if I sanded this one down, I don't think I'd be reusing that one either. So flywheel, pressure plate, and clutch. I don't know if I'll change the pilot bearing because it feels really good. Like there's not a damn thing wrong with it. That's such a piss off that this thing's so like stained and shows signs of lack of maintenance. And then Dad's blown up one looks this great still inside of it. So kind of sucks that we're going from that with like 500,000 kilometers on it to that. But I wanted to check the timing belt. The timing belt looks pretty new on it. It must not have many miles on it. It's just somebody never did their oil changes like they're supposed to. So I'm going to throw, I also want to throw Dad's valve cover on it since I have them both off. I was thinking of pulling this apart and taking what I could out of it for spare parts, but we'll see what happens then. Dad's came off a lot easier too. But I should have new valve cover gaskets as well. So I'll slap Dad's valve cover on it for the sake of already having both of them off, and that's the one I choose. But yeah, that looks like a low miles motor. You wouldn't even think that has 540,000 on it. But whatever, this one runs. This will get the car back on the road. I'll flush it down with automatic transmission fluid and see if we can clean it up a bit. But yeah, that kind of sucks. But 30-year-old motor, and then someone probably just drove it like an economical car and never did their oil changes. But yeah, maintenance goes a long way. Okay, so I ran into a couple issues. That intake gasket is definitely not for this intake, which sucks because that kind of halts everything right now. And then I need that stupid socket for the flywheel, which is my fault. I should have looked into it a little more. Again, it's been like 10 years since I've ripped one of them apart. And yeah, I think I got enough footage probably to make a video. And my last video got a lot of like viewership and a lot of comments and likes, and I'm really hoping this video gets even half as many as those, because the YouTube channel is kind of like doubled. I've been doing YouTube for 5 years for myself. I've never really done it for anyone to watch, but if people want to watch this stuff, I'm all for it. But yeah, the next video, I 100% guarantee this whole mess will be put into that motor, and that motor will be in that car over there. So if you want to see all that, just like, subscribe, comment. You can even comment on saying how I'm doing something wrong, or comment and complain about how I don't have enough money to do certain things I should be doing while I'm doing this. I don't really care. It's just, this is going to get that car running for now. We'll swap it or whatever in the future. We'll do a lot of things a lot more right in the future. But for right now, I just want to get the car together. I want to put a windshield in it. And I want to do the brakes, fix it. I want it drivable again. That's it. So yeah, I hate to stop the video here, but honestly, hopefully by next weekend, that transmission will be back on here and that motor will be in the car. So yeah, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's pretty motivating seeing how many people liked the last video, and I really hope this video does at least half as well as that one did. But yeah, I'll end up rambling on forever. This is just where I'm going to close it off. I just need so much other stuff, and it's just such a long video already. I might as well put it in 2 parts. So that's all for now, I guess.